was a great year. You know, it was a successful year, but we have become a club that, you know, have really high standards, and we base those on winning trophies.
Swung into the air, Harriel, 3-0! Lofted in towards Bobby Wood! Save from Blake onto the woodwork!
Well, what a save this is from Andre Blake.
We want more, and the ultimate goal is to win trophies.
Well, the MLS regular season is just over 2 weeks away, and we are looking at every single team before it all kicks off today. We are focusing on the Philadelphia Union. Here's a look at how it went down for them last season. They finished 4th place in the Eastern Conference, but eliminated in the conference semis against FC Cincinnati. They lost to LAFC in the Concacaf Champions Cup, finished 3rd place in Leagues Cup. So it was an interesting season. You can say it was a success, but maybe falling a bit short of their goals. A few weeks ago, I was able to catch up with goalkeeper Andre Blake ahead of the season. Here's that conversation.
Andre, you've been playing at such a high level for so long, and seemingly you seem to get better every year. How is that?
I stay hungry for the first thing, and I compete against myself. I mark myself very hard, and every year I try to get better. You know, whatever I did last year, that's in the past, and for me, I need to bare minimum repeat what I did, but I always aim to do better, you know, so that's how I stay consistent. I push myself, and again, whatever I did last year, that's last year, you know, and if I don't do it this year, you know, for me, it's not good enough. So I always want to be better, so I push myself, and yeah, I never get complacent.
So last year, you were critical of the condensed schedule of this league, and you know, you're talking about winning trophies. How do you balance that? How do you balance being at a peak performance and putting yourselves in those positions with the strain and the fatigue that comes along with such an intense schedule?
Yeah, you need more depth. You know, the stronger your team, you know, you're able to rotate players. And for me personally, you know, when it's not with your club, you're traveling with national teams. So in a sense, you know, I probably was being a little bit biased because I do not get a break, you know, and I guess at the end of the day, as you said, you know, the more you win, you know, the reward is the more games you play. And if I know that, you know, winning is gonna lead to more games, but, you know, if it's gonna also lead to trophies, then I'm okay with that, you know. So I guess in the grand scheme of things, we just need to have more depth, and I don't know if that means MLS needs to relax the rules a little bit more or whatever the case might be. But yeah, you know, I guess it's the reward you get for wanting to win. It comes with more games.
Yeah,
so
it does.
I guess I have to deal with that.
Comes at a price.
Comes at a price.
On the whole, I mean, you guys have had a pretty good run over the last few years, but for 2023, how would you describe it?
Yeah, on the wider perspective, it was a great year. You know, it was a successful year, but we have become a club that, you know, has really high standards, and we base those on winning trophies. You know, unfortunately, we weren't able to win any. We were in the semifinals of the Champions League, which is a great accomplishment. You know, semifinals of the Leagues Cup, another great accomplishment. You know, semis of the Eastern Conference, you know, but we want more. You know, we don't really accept getting to the semis. We need to bare minimum be in the finals, and the ultimate goal is to win trophies.
Such an interesting conversation with Andre Blake, Tony. You know, he talked about like wanting to win trophies and the congested schedule, and the price of that is that you play in all these games, and it will be worth it if you take home hardware. But they didn't take home hardware last year, and you can look at what they did and say, oh, but they got this far. They made it to the conference semis. Would you say that 2023 was a successful season for the Philadelphia Union?
I would say no, only because I know Jim Curtin, right? And I know Jim Curtin is in this to win trophies, as everybody is, but this is a guy that's been around for a while. He's built, I would say, and Charlie, I wonder if you agree, the most consistent team in Major League Soccer. I mean, I saw you writing down the lineup that we think is going to be Jim Curtin's lineup. I can recite it in my head because it hasn't changed all that much. He likes the players that he has. For a club that has promoted young players as good as anybody in Major League Soccer, he loves his veterans. He loves the guys that he can count on, Charlie, week in and week out. So I shudder, Susannah, to say no to your question.
Yeah.
Because it is a success in some ways, but in knowing Jim Curtin, I think if you would ask him, he would say it wasn't.
Yeah, you're spot on. I mean, considering they lost an MLS Cup final, right?
The year before.
Heartbreaking.
A heartbreaking loss. So yes, it wasn't a successful season because the Union, I think, have continued to push the envelope forward every season. And Jim Curtin, in terms of a manager who knows his team and has his team bought into an identity, there's no one better. He has, like you said, but it's a gift and a curse when you stick with veterans, when you have the same team year in, year out, because everyone knows what to expect. Now, they're very good at what they do. In terms of their strengths, they play their strengths. But when you start to figure out how to break down this Union team, then it becomes very difficult. And I thought last season they had to adjust with some injuries. Bedoya was out for some portions of the season, and they relied on his work rate, what he brings to the team. Center backs had to rotate, and then up top, I think the inconsistency of Mika Ua and Julian Carranza at times. They need both of them to be healthy and both of them to be scoring goals, and it always felt like either one, usually Carranza was really on fire, and then when he wasn't doing well, that's when Mika Ua kind of picked up the slack. For them to be at their best, their two strikers have to be playing off each other and both having success. And it's been a little bit one-dimensional in that category.
To piggyback off of what you were saying and the injured players and the depth or the lack of depth in their bench, it does feel like when Philly goes to their subs, there's a drop-off in quality. And I think it's pretty telling what Andre Blake was saying about the congested fixture schedule. A lot of games, but the rules to build your roster are so tight. How do you expect to be competitive in Concacaf Champions Cup, MLS Cup, US Open Cup, Leagues Cup, and whatever they create next? But with a squad that's really, you've got 11 players, and because, like you guys said, Philly's 11 is their 11 that we know they're going to get.
100%.
And then off the bench, it starts to that quality, that strength that Philly has. But how do you compete with a squad that you've got your 11 and then there's a drop off?
Well, everyone has a chance to build their roster. They've decided to build it this way. I look at their bench, and when I look at their bench, the drop-off for me is in age because they go young when they go to their bench, right? And I'm looking at McGlynn this year, and this is a guy that I think is going to be a standout player, Jack McGlynn, and he'll play in that left side of that diamond. But, Nico, everyone goes through the same process in this league, right? I get it. I'm with you. And I've been a proponent of let's take the shackles off, right, for a long, long time, 10 years at least, right, in Major League Soccer. Did we get to that point? We're always creating, we call them mechanisms, right? And we have a new mechanism every year to bring players in. At some point, we're just going to have to say, you know what? Owner A, B, and C, you guys go build your team however you want. We're not at that point. So the reason I understand what Andre Blake is saying, the reason I almost have no sympathy for him is the fact that everyone has the same problem. You just make a decision on how you want to build your team.
And I will add, from the Union standpoint, what they've done really well is have the transition from academy to first team and producing players that contribute. To your point, Union's not a big spending team. They don't go out and buy these $10, $15 million transfers and bring in these big star players. What they do is they build, it's almost like they go out into the European market and they go, okay, who can we get that cut price deal for? We're going to spend in a smart way. Veterans who can come in and add to the quality of the team. Meanwhile, we're going to bring up these young, talented academy players and try and give them minutes here, give them minutes there, build up their confidence and get them used to the style of play and the speed of play, so that we can have these successful players and sell them for big fees.
Nico, really quick, the one thing Andre Blake forgets is not every team has Andre Blake. So Philadelphia should realize how lucky they are, because he is the difference for, 6 to 8 points every single season.
3-time goalkeeper of the year. I mean, Andre Blake is the real deal.
Yeah.
He's the real deal, and he keeps them in games and allows them to play that crazy style. Because if they're throwing numbers forward, when they get their outside backs high, and they're going up and down, whipping in balls, that's when they're vulnerable because it's 1v1 with their center backs, and their center backs don't have pace. So if they do get exposed, they're okay. They're willing to take that risk because you have Andre Blake.
Andre Blake. Are they a contender?
They're always going to be a contender. But have they strengthened their squad enough to say, this is the team you got to watch out for? No. But they have the consistency and the identity, which always makes them a contender.
I feel like you compete playoffs. This is a team where it's like you know what you're going to get out of them.
Yes.
They're going to chip away week by week, match week by match.
They were in contention to win 4 trophies.
They'll be in the playoffs.
I think this is a big year because it's either they compete and they're right there, or
now or never.
We're going to see a big turnover for the following season.
For Philadelphia. It'll be interesting.